our kids are in preschool and going to grade 1. So we each have 2 kids, 2 boys, same ages each. So she has a grade 1er, I have a grade 1er, and we each have a 4-year-old that's supposed to go to preschool. The 4-year-old is going to stay home and the grade 1-year-old is going to go back to school. For us, I tried this homeschooling, working full-time thing, and it did not work for me and my family. It didn't work for my kids. They hated seeing me in this teacher role, all those things. And it's just stressful. And I thought, my little one that's 4 started crying in the back seat because I told him he wasn't going to go back to school, and he really wanted to go back to school and he loves school, and so that was heartbreaking as well, which makes me second guess if I'm doing the right thing or not. That being said, I thought I would share, because I know when we do EQ, a lot of parents talk about how EQ impacts them as parents. And so through these conversations, I know when we have conversations about the kids at school, we don't really talk to the kids about it. They're still fairly young. We don't really include them in our conversations. I have asked like Lincoln if he wants to go back, Quentin if he wants to go back, but these serious conversations are kind of between me and Tim and my sister, her husband, and my parents. That being said, they're around and they listen. And so I just wanted to kind of say heads up and be really mindful of the conversations and the heated debates, because I can tell you we've had heated debates. And that the kids are around and they hear, and they're eavesdroppers, and they overhear, and they sense the anxiety and they sense the stress. And so don't underestimate that maybe they're in the background playing and you're having this heated conversation with your husband or parents, and that they don't hear, and that stress that you're exuding, that anxiety that you're exuding is kind of spreading onto them. And I say that because over the last week, Lincoln has not been sleeping. He usually is a very good sleeper, but for the last week he's been waking up between 12 to 2, but lately I'd walk him back to go back to bed, and half an hour he'd come out and say he still can't sleep, and then I'd go and put him back to bed, lay with him for a bit, and then he'll come out and still say he can't sleep. And this will happen for hours in the middle of the night, and it's been a whole week now. And so Tim and I on separate occasions have tried to ask him, like, we won't be mad, just tell us, like, what is it? Like, tell us. But in my mind, I'm like, if you're just scared, tell us you're scared, and at least we know, like, how we can help. Like, fine, you can sleep in our room, but we don't want to create bad habits either. But he can't articulate what it is. And I honestly feel like it's this anxiety that I'm exuding through these discussions with my family and how I'm feeling. I'm on my phone probably a lot more researching than I normally am, and him seeing me being like maybe a distant mom, and a mom that's a bit more stressed out and frazzled because I have a lot going on in my mind about whether or not in 2 weeks is the right thing that Lincoln go back to school. And so I just thought I'd give you guys a heads up and to be really mindful of your kids around, and that they're looking up to you. And if you're showing fear and anxiety and all these nerves, and you're expressing it fully but openly, that it might make them scared, because I'm hearing some parents say that their kids are even scared to leave the house. And so, I mean, we want to be honest with our kids, but at the point where they're still children and their brains are still developing and they're still shaping the world in their lens, and when they see their parents scared, I'm sure it feels 10 times worse for them. And so as hard as it might be, try to keep these conversations private, and try to talk to them and help them understand the pros, the cons, everything, not just the negativeness around everything with COVID, and be sensitive that they're listening and that it could be impacting them, and how they show up at school, how they are at school with their teachers, how they're behaving at home, whether they're sleeping through the night. So I hope that kind of just brings back a reminder, because I know this past week has been very trying for me and my family, and Lincoln not sleeping, and I am very much more aware.